The best thing is when you ask, like when somebody goes, hey, dude, I don't really I need to get my money to work, right? I'm not making money off my money. I need to start investing. And the first thing you ask them is, well, tell me about your goals.
Yeah.
What do you want to achieve? What is your number that you need? And everyone goes, wait, what? I never even thought about that. So it's like, that's a prime example though. We're not even given the breakdown of how to figure out how this is even done, right? So yes, reverse engineer everything. I think that's the best way to attack things.
Welcome to the Viral by Design podcast with Dave Rotherow, where we get inside the minds of today's leading viral marketers as they reveal the exact strategies they use to build brands, products, and campaigns that are magnetic to customers, spread like wildfire, and seize the attention of millions. This is Viral by Design.
So welcome to another episode of Viral by Design. Today we're very fortunate to be joined by Mikey Taylor, who is a professional skateboarder and serial entrepreneur and president of Commune Capital. He started skateboarding at the tender age of 14, went pro in 2001 and held a multiple very lucrative sponsorship contracts with people like DC Shoes, GoPro Camera and Alien Workshop as well. So at some point along the path, Mikey decided that it wasn't going to make him allow him to be financially free. So in 2010, he started investing in real estate. He co-founded St. Archer Brewing Company, which was acquired by Miller Coors in 2015, and then later co-founded Southern Skateboards. In 2018, he founded Commune Capital, which helps people to create a path to financial freedom through real estate investing. So Mikey, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me, brother.
Okay. So, like a bit of a curveball question. First, you started investing quite early on in your career in storage units. What was it that kind of like triggered that, and why was that so kind of important?
So I was incredibly fortunate to have just great guidance. I had a mentor come into my life when I was 19 and started educating me around finance. I knew nothing about money. I knew how to skateboard. So I had somebody who started teaching me about money, started helping me plan for my future. And then once I had enough money to put that into opportunity that was ultimately going to help my transition out of skateboarding, he ran real estate funds as well. So he was the one that was like, hey, dude, this is a great asset class. I think it will be beneficial to your career for these reasons. And let's put some money into them. And so, I mean, at that age, dude, I was young. I really trusted him. And I put my money in where he told me. And then I started basically seeing the benefits of it all. And then once I started seeing it work, it was like, okay, great. What do we have here? I want to learn more about this. And that was really the beginning of it, just guidance and then eager to learn.
That's amazing, man. And it's great that you had a guide at such an early age. I think something that's so lacking, especially over here in the UK in the school system, and I think it's very much the same in the US, right? There doesn't seem to be any real education around money, around any kind of like wealth accumulation, which as people are finding out right now is huge, right? Because people suddenly the bottom drops out of your kind of career money inroad, then everything falls to pieces. Why do you think that is? Why do you think schools, like the education system, just hasn't picked up on that?
You know what, man? I struggle with this one. I actually will argue against myself in circles because I keep getting to this place of it feels a little bit conspiracy. It's often kind of conspiracy land a little bit because it makes no sense why our school doesn't educate us to succeed financially. It makes no sense, right? And the only way I can justify it is there's a reason on why they're not doing it. Because this is something that every single person needs in their life. It doesn't make sense. I have no clue why, other than they want to control and put certain people in certain buckets. And the more successful individuals become, the more free they are, and the more basically less dependent they are on the people who want power. That is all I could come to, because other than that, I do not get it. I do not understand why you don't build these kids up to be successful. I have no clue.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And you know, it's funny. I read a post this morning titled "Conspiracy Theory versus Conspiracy." You know, and you do have to start looking at these things like objectively and start really having those conversations, don't you? I mean, I guess the other flip side of the equation is that teachers are just kind of put back into the system without really having any knowledge of that, right? Without having any kind of knowledge to be able to pass on to kids. I'm saying with parents.
For sure. But it's like, look, we're in 2020. Like, this is the beginning of the 1900s. Like we should be very quick to pivot and change at this time, this day and age, right? So it's like, okay, everyone recognizes that there's a problem here financially. I wouldn't have a business if there wasn't. People wouldn't be resonating with us if the schooling system was working, right? There's a pain point for everybody that they don't understand money and they are not given the tools to succeed at it. So it's like, at what point do you go, okay, let's change this up. This doesn't work. And it's been so long of it that you almost can't blame it on just somebody being naive and, oh yeah, our system just like still work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, I'm not like a conspiracy dude. I don't have an answer to it. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So like on a more positive note, then where do you think that needs to change, and who's the responsibility with? Is it with the child that eventually becomes an adult, or is it with their parents? And at what age do people need to start getting conscious about this?
So, dude, I think it always starts in the household, right? It starts with your parents, because your parents are the ones who are the most influential to you at an age where you don't even realize they're building these kind of behaviors inside of you, right? They see what you do, and if you do things well, they try to mimic the things you do well, and the things you do bad, unfortunately, they mimic those as well. So it's like it starts in the household, and unfortunately, I think the time we're in is we used to rely on the schools to teach our kids. We used to rely on the schools to build our kids up to be successful in our community or the world. I think that's dead. I think it's now the parents' responsibility to educate our kids, to train them to be successful in every aspect of life. It's just more responsibility on us, which I actually think is a good thing. I think because of convenience and just us kind of consuming this lifestyle of we have to be doing everything always at every second, we've just given that off to the schools. We've given the schools too much faith to help build these kids up. And I think it's just now on us, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think that's good.
Yeah. Well, I completely agree that, that message of personal responsibility and people taking control of their own lives, and the fact that there is so much information out there, right? And things are moving so fast, it's almost like it's impossible that schools can keep up, right? Like how could such a behemoth of an organization stay current and stay present with what's happening, especially in a year like 2020, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Sweet, man. Okay, cool. So when you started getting sponsorships from DC Shoes, like that kind of whole era, how do you kind of move into that? Do you start approaching those brands as a skater and start and kind of asking them to represent you, or did they come to you?
So when I was young, I was like 16, my parents wanted me to get a job and I didn't want to work. I wanted to keep skating. So I basically came up with this plan that if I could get companies to give me free product, then I wouldn't need to buy anything other than food. And the money I needed to buy food, I would just sell product to the kids who needed skate stuff. So that was like my hack around it. And then I just basically made a tape of me skating and sent it out to, 40 different companies. And eventually I got a few to call me back, which led to them giving me free product. And then that just kind of naturally evolved into them advertising me. And then it just got to a point where I became my own manager and was, negotiating things that I wanted to help kind of build my career out. And one of the big milestones or goals for a pro skateboarder is to get a pro shoe. That's like kind of the holy grail for us. So that's something I always wanted. So I was just like driving forward to build enough demand to be able to support that, and then negotiate that with the sponsors that I want a shoe. This is in my path. I need to get this, etc.
That's amazing. So you got it from basically from zero to something that was really sustaining you, and it was a vital, which I guess in and of itself is the holy grail to some skaters, right? A real kind of sustainable income. But at some point, then you decided that was never going to make you rich. So was it that was never going to make you rich? How did that decision look, and what spurred that, and where did you go from there?
Yes, skateboarders, like we get to a point where we can just spend every single day skateboarding, but we don't make enough to not have to work after our skateboard career, right? And unfortunately, when our career ends, it's at a very pivotal moment in our life where the longer we become pro, the harder it is to transition into the next thing, right? We're transitioning into our second career in our 40s with our main talent being riding a skateboard, where everyone else is doing this in their mid 20s, built up what they're doing now, and it's just hard to do. So I was more concerned with what life was going to look like after skateboarding. And, with my mentor, I realized that I wasn't going to make enough to be able to just retire at, retire at 1.0. I was going to have to move into something else and hit 2.0 unless I figured out another path to do it. So that's where, one, I got really disciplined on saving, really disciplined on investing, but then the entrepreneurial side of I need to start building things so that I can make more money, so that I can put more money into these investments so that I can actually achieve financial freedom. So it wasn't like for me, I don't need to be like wealthy. I'm not a dude that's like, I need $100 million. That's not it for me. I just want financial freedom so that I can have options. That's all. And for me, my lifestyle's not that expensive. It's actually pretty mellow. So I just know what I would like to live off of. And then I have a goal of what I need in assets to basically pay me that amount each month to support my lifestyle.
Yeah, that's great, man. I mean, it's something which I've learned over recent years, and incidentally, there's some key similarities between my past and yours actually, because I used to be a touring rock musician. I traveled all over the world, and then kind of realized at one point, okay, this is really fun and really cool, but like, A, I'm probably going to die in the next 5 years, and B, it's not going to make me all that rich. So, but but one of the things you just mentioned there about, really kind of managing things to a realistic level and doing the math, like, I think this is something that not many people understand, right? Is that if you actually do the math on exactly how much it costs to live that ideal lifestyle, and then work from that, it's really possible, right?
Yes. The best thing is when you ask, like when somebody goes, hey dude, I need to get my money to work, right? I'm not making money off my money. I need to start investing. And the first thing you ask them is, well, tell me about your goals. Yeah. What do you want to achieve? What is your number that you need? And everyone goes, wait, what? I never even thought about that. So it's like, that's a prime example though. We're not even given the breakdown of how to figure out how this is even done, right? So yes, reverse engineer everything. I think that's the best way to attack things.
That's amazing. So then obviously you went into founding a brewing company. So the St. Archer Brewing Company. So was that like a passion project at first, or was there a kind of more methodical reason to go into that sector?
Oh man. So I had two partners that I started St. Archer with, two of my closest friends. And I was talking with one of them about starting a company. And he just kind of, was really pushing me like, dude, if you're going to start a company, you should start something that has never been done in our industry, right? Our industry, in the skateboard industry, we always create the same brands. It's like skateboard brands, clothing brands, He was like, dude, let's do something like brand new. And as we were talking, he ended up coming up with the idea, like, dude, we should do alcohol. We should do a craft beer, because at that time, energy drinks were like really hot in our industry. Nobody really loved energy drinks, but they own the industry in a sense. So he was like, dude, let's create a beverage, because it's such a cool kind of category, but alcohol's never been done. So we were just on this, like, let's be the first. And then it just happened to be at a time where craft beer was really starting to break through into kind of the masses or the mainstream. And then we just got really excited with the opportunity in front of us. So that's kind of how it happened. And then we just wanted to build something, new and unique in the craft beer industry and in the skateboard industry.
That's amazing. So you, like St. Archer, did you kind of launch that off like with your audience that you already had from this skating kind of career?
Yeah. So basically we had to raise money to do this. We didn't have enough money to start it ourselves. So we raised money. It wasn't a ton. And we were really nervous that we weren't going to have enough to keep it going. So we were trying to run this thing as lean as possible. And so I think it was my partner that came up with this idea. He was like, dude, we have $100,000 or $150,000 for the year for marketing. What if we just promote this on social media? We could basically wipe out that marketing budget. This is 2011. So there's no influencer marketing at this point. So we started basically creating all this content for all of us to promote on social as a means to just save money. And it was perfect timing with, influencer marketing in a sense. So it just kind of, it really worked out. Stars aligned with that one.
That's amazing. So 2011, that's only 9 years ago, man. So, I mean, it just shows how fast things change. And
Oh,
you sold out to Cause within how long?
we sold, man, October, November of 2015. It was we didn't expect it to be that quick. Like so for us, like we had our business plan, we had our, pro forma, and, we thought it was going to take us like 7 years to break even. Right. The first year hit and basically nothing went according to plan. Like our thing was we ended up having more demand than we ever realized. So we just couldn't keep up. So, I mean, the first 4 or 5 months, we had to throw out our business plan, completely start over. Our projections were just totally off. So the thing it went a lot quicker than we thought, which was, I mean, it was cool. It's just not normal. Like when starting most businesses, you need to be prepared to burn for the first 5 years. Like you don't usually become profitable until then, or even build enough brand awareness for anybody to know who you are. And ours happened day one. So that was unique to us. We just weren't prepared for it.
So what is that experience like, selling to a bigger company? Like, do they approach you and is it just like months and months of paperwork, or, and obviously it happened pretty fast, but the actual process itself, how does that look?
So we had a group come in that basically represented us, and they were the ones that were basically going out and talking to a handful of different companies that were interested in acquiring us. And then it was negotiations and paperwork and negotiations and paperwork for a long time. I remember like the first time they kind of mentioned it to us, I was like, ooh, this is cool. And then it was like, I think 9 months later, 10 months later, that it actually closed. And the whole time, we weren't really sure if it was actually going to happen. It's a tricky thing. It's like, I mean, dude, it's like negotiating anything, man. It's like, it's not done until it's done. And you're trying to push this thing forward and not get excited. But it was a weird experience, but it was cool. The hardest part though was actually after the transaction. Once a company's no longer yours, that was the thing that I think we weren't prepared for. It was just a different thing at that point.
And was that just because you were sat on the beach having cocktails on that point forward and you didn't know how to handle it, or?
Dude, purpose. I think it's like, when you have this thing that's yours and you're able to do things you want at certain times, and there's a certain drive that brings out of you. And once you're not able to make decisions the way you want, or it's no longer your vision being pushed forward, you don't get that fire anymore,
Yeah, got it, man. 100%. I completely resonate with that. So what did you do after that then? Did you take some time off, or did you immediately dive into commune, or what was the process?
So after that was Sovereign. And the reason that I lost my board sponsor, my board sponsor actually went out of business. It was Alien Workshop, which is a really cool company. And I was still skating. So basically, I just kind of made the decision, instead of trying to find a board sponsor, why don't I just do my own? And at that time, I felt like there wasn't a company out there that really fit my style. So started Sovereign, spent the next probably 2 years, I'd say, year and a half, just getting that to the point of it being able to run without me. And then from that point, I started Commune.
Got it. All right. So looking back, I mean, it's a hell of a, like a smorgasbord of different things that you've done in your career, right? So looking back on that now, if you were 18-year-old Mikey back there again, or however old you were when you decided, okay, this is going to make me rich, what would you do now? What businesses would you be starting with the knowledge and the experiences that you have now?
So remember, when I was 18, it was a lot different. There's no social media, right? So am I allowed to know what I know as far as what's going to happen in the future, or just skills and
yeah, I think no skills, probably not in fact, yeah, go on. Knowing what you know is going to happen in the future, because I think that'll be fascinating, actually, because hindsight is such a fascinating thing, right?
Oh, I mean, dude, I would have focused all my energy on tech products, 1,000%. Back then it was gosh, I'm even trying to think about it, man. It was DVD. I mean, dude, it was DVDs. Was it basically for a skateboarder, right? The only time we would ever be seen was if somebody bought a DVD that we had a part in, or we would be advertised from a company in a magazine, right? That was all we had. So, I mean, dude, if I would have known what I would know now, it was I would have put all my attention towards social media communications, right? Like to be a part of that movement would have been massive. But I think more than anything, it's like, I probably would have started a company. This is where we're going to land on this. I would have started a company 2002, 2007, 2008. And knowing what I know now, when there's disruption like that, I actually think that's the best time to start something. And when 2007, 2008 hit, we were terrified. Even starting St. Archer, we ended up opening doors in 2012. We were still scared of 2007, 2008. I remember one thing we'd always say to each other was, at least alcohol is recession proof. When recessions hit, people drink, right? So we were still concerned about that moment. Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have had that fear. I would have started earlier and really looked at ways to build something where there's a huge potential of upside because I'm so small and nimble, as opposed to the bigger companies that are trying to transition through that change, right? So basically think of it like this. If you're a big established business and disruption hits, it's so hard to steer a big boat into a different direction, right? But when you're small, you're like a wave runner. Right? Yeah. So, dude, I would have really tried to spend more time building in that moment than being on the defense.
Makes a lot of sense. So that would suggest that, going into the potentially turbulent time that we're currently seeing now, which, I feel like we've not even seen the beginning of yet. So now your message would be that this is a good time to start building, right?
This is the best time for entrepreneurs, 1000%. And what's cool is even look at what was created 2009. We have some of the greatest tech companies now because of that moment, 2007, 2008, right? So basically now fast forward to 2020. Talk about disruption. And I agree with you. I don't even think we've really felt the full backlash of this thing in a sense, right? So I think this is a perfect time to start something, especially as everything's shifting, right? You're seeing multiple industries just basically having to start over. So, dude, that's awesome for you. That's a perfect time to come in. So I would, if you're an entrepreneur, I'd be encouraged by this time.
100%. That's awesome. That's a great message to hear in times like these, right? So talk to me about real estate then. So first of all, how do you think real estate is going to handle with this? Like stuff like, obviously commercial is going to take a huge hit with people, working from home a lot more and businesses reshuffling and potentially going out of business as well. So what's your kind of focus in real estate and what would be your advice to somebody getting into it?
Okay. So real estate as a whole is large, right? There's so many different asset classes in real estate, which are being affected differently through this, right? Something like retail, yeah, this has, in my perspective, sped up the inevitable of that kind of asset class just kind of compressing, right? They're getting kicked in the face. So that is one. Office space, getting disrupted. I'm on the fence though, if it's short-term or long-term. I actually kind of have a feeling, and this is just a speculation, that office space is going to go through a short-term disruption. I think long-term it will be fine. Storage I think it will do great through this. Multifamily, I think does great through this. So you got to recognize that there's different components to it, right? If I was just getting in right now, I would be looking at the asset classes that are being disrupted and look at ways to reposition those into something else.
Right.
Because you got to remember, it's like anything, right? Where everybody is, you want to run towards the thing that everybody's running from, right? Everybody's like, whoa, retail? Well, I'm out of here. That's a good sign that you need to go that way, right? So I would be looking for the opportunity in the asset classes that are being affected more than others.
That's fascinating. That's really great advice as well. Because bearing in mind, I know nothing about retail, nothing about real estate whatsoever. I kind of feel like, from my experience as an entrepreneur, that I'm hearing from a lot of people who work for other companies, other businesses, that have suddenly found themselves working from home, and they suddenly think, "Oh, this is fantastic! I can work from home. I can have a much more free life." Yada yada yada. And I think that people are going to feel a big backlash in a few months' time when they realize that it's actually tremendously isolating working from home, right, after a certain amount of time. So that might well.
Okay, so this is why I'm not sold on office space going away, and I'm basing this off of my personal experience, right? For me, COVID hits, we go digital in our office end of March. I have April, May. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I am crushing it. I'm so efficient. I'm getting so much done, right? June, July hit, and my 3 kids know that I'm home now. My wife knows that I'm home now. And all of a sudden throughout my day, I'm being interrupted, having to do things, and I'm struggling with focus. And now all of a sudden I'm like, I can't get anything done here. That's one, right? I think other people are feeling that in my position too. Creating culture in a community is so important. To have everybody who's part of your organization working with one another, driving this vision forward. Without culture, I think the thing explodes. And I don't know how you create that culture like this. I don't know how you do it. I think, as these companies start pivoting and going full digital and they're seeing, the expenses that they're saving, they're going to be stoked for the short term. I think they're going to start being compromised, maybe end of next year going, why isn't everybody like on board with this thing like they were? Why isn't everybody willing to die for this thing anymore? What's going on with everybody? And then I think, you might start seeing companies go, man, maybe we do need community. Maybe we do need people, with one another vibing. So that's kind of my take on it, but we will see where it pans out.
Absolutely.
With that said, I'm not buying office space though. I'm not bullish on office space. Just so everybody knows, I'm not writing it off right yet.
Okay, right. So you see, you might in the future, you just kind of like see how the land lies, see how things progress, and then maybe you'll get in the future.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, our 2 asset classes that we really focus on are storage and multifamily. So we don't really participate in office anyway. So that's more just a speculation for me. If we did have an office portfolio, I think I would have a different position.
Got it, yeah. So people listening, I'm sure if they're anything like me, then I'm fascinated to start getting into real estate because you outlined a really interesting story of like the different asset classes and what might happen as well. And obviously your backstory, has proven out massive success in not only that, but the other ventures that you've done. So for somebody who's listening to this and thinking about, maybe I'd like to get involved in this, but I'd like to mitigate as much of the risk as possible and, kind of make a good job of it, what would be the path for them to start doing so, and what obstacles should they look out for along the way?
Well, you have 2 options at the end of the day, right? You educate yourself or you hire the education. Those are really our only 2 components. If you aren't in a position where you have resources to be able to hire the education, you got to start learning. You've got to start reading books. You've got to start building relationships with people currently doing it now, so that you can ask as many questions as possible and avoid as many of the landmines as you can when you get started. So depending on where you're at, it's one or the other there. The good thing about this time is information is everywhere. There's so much information available to you, and people like generally are pretty eager to help. Like, one, you have access to people. You can get on your phone, you can DM anybody, and it just becomes a numbers game on who's going to hit you back, and then start building relationship. If you're looking for, mentors or something, that's a powerful one. Another thing too is like, usually we know somebody within our circle that knows somebody doing something that we like, right? So don't forget the power of texting every single person in your phone going, hey, I'm really interested in real estate. Do you know anybody who does real estate or who does real estate investing? I really am eager to learn. And dude, you'd be surprised with how many people know somebody that they could connect you with.
100%. That brings full circle kind of what we're talking about at the start of the call here, which is about, kids not having this kind of education. And I was thinking in one of my post-gym workout accelerated brain thoughts the other day, like, wouldn't it be cool if people like offered up themselves as a mentor to like 1 or 2, just 1 or 2 kids? So because, often I know I don't listen to my parents, right? And generally kids don't listen to their parents. They don't necessarily take that kind of advice the same kind of way. But if you could like offer your just like a half-hour phone call once a month to a kid and just set them in the right direction, talk to them about what they want to do, like give them some advice, like business owners like us, to actually give them well advice how to get started. How cool would that be, right?
1,000%. And I think too, the blessing at the end of the day is there's a massive opportunity that I think people are starting to take advantage of, might not be the right word, but starting to participate in, is the fact that the schools aren't doing this, right? It's like, dude, think about how many people are now putting out content to help educate kids. and they could just consume it now. So it's like, I mean, dude, what's wrong with that? Like the people taking charge going, you know what, dude, I'm going to give back to the community. I'm just going to start helping be the teacher, the mentor. That's huge.
Absolutely, man. And I think that's kind of ingrained into entrepreneurs as well. At certain points, when they get a certain amount of success, they're like, okay, how can I start giving back? And that's the beautiful thing I see around me in kind of entrepreneurial communities of people who have had success. The fact that they turn around, they're like, right, I've done this with myself. Who can I help?
Yeah, that's right. 100%.
Sweet. So Commune Capital, what's the story with that? And like, how do you work with people? How do you help people?
Okay, so the quick story with Commune is, remember I told you I had a mentor when I was 19?
Yeah.
And he's the one who brought me into investing in real estate.
Yeah.
Well, he's also the person who helped us start St. Archer. When we started St. Archer, we didn't know how to start business. So he helped us build our business plan. He kind of taught us how to raise money, et cetera. So when I came up with the idea of Commune, ultimately the idea was I wanted to replicate what he had done in my life to my friends that were in the skateboard community. And the two things that he really blessed me with was education and opportunity. Taught me how money worked, created the discipline, and then gave me opportunity to put my money to work with him. So that was my original idea. Copy this dude. And so I built out my business plan, kind of the whole concept behind the brand. The only thing that I wasn't aware of was how real estate funds were managed. I had no experience there. And so I called him. I was like, hey, dude, his name's Randy. Randy, I need to meet with you. And I just plopped this business plan in front of his desk, right? And I was like, I need to pitch you this idea. I told him all about my idea. And then I just said, who do I need to hire to help me build out this vision? What do I need to know here? And so with St. Archer, he educated us, and then we went out and did it. With this, he was like, dude, I've known you for 20 years. We saw what you did with St. Archer, you and Josh and Paul. We would, instead of me telling you who to go hire, why don't we have a conversation about me being this for you? Like, we already do this, and you offer something that we do not have, and vice versa. I think this would be a great partnership. So we ended up starting the company together 3 years ago with my mentor, who I met when I was 19, which is a really cool story. And basically it started off to help people in my industry, help educate skaters, and give an opportunity for skaters to put their money into deals that we personally had our money in. And as I was talking about this on social media, I started having people hit me up from a ton of other sports. I started having snowboarders and surfers and golfers and football players. And then it was like, okay, this message is definitely resonating within athletes. And then what happened, which I wasn't prepared for, but am very excited about, entrepreneurs started hitting me up. Sales guys started hitting me up. People in so many different industries started going, dude, I'm not an athlete, but I feel you. I don't know what the future has. I want options. I want choices. What is this all about? And so now we are up to, I think we have about 350 investors. Athletes have actually become our smallest group, but that's kind of where my passion lies, just because I was an athlete. So our mission ultimately is to educate people and empower them to either succeed on their own or get to a position where they want to invest passively, focus on what they do, and ultimately generate wealth so they can achieve financial freedom.
That's so cool, man. And I really love the fact that it started in such a tight niche, which was, your thing of skateboarding. And you can always see like parallels between, because it's like burning a small fire hot, right? And then adding the fuel and suddenly it takes off. Kind of like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, right? Started with books, and I believe they've not done too badly for themselves since. So it's incredible to start the kind of super tight thing and then like really, just see it take off. It's especially around something you're passionate about, right?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. So how can people learn more about Commune if they wanted to get involved with you?
You can find us on any platform. We're just at Commune Capital, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. And then if you want to check out our website, it's communecapital.com. And from there, you can find everything we do. And then we do have a form on there that you can fill out if you are interested in potentially partnering with us, if you want to get on our mailing list just to receive kind of the education component. There's something for everybody, regardless of you being at the position to invest passively or not. So education and opportunity.
That's cool as hell. Well, thank you so much, Mikey, for sharing, first of all, your story with us. You're an entrepreneur through and through, and just having your passion and seeing your passion, your enthusiasm, it's clear why you've been so successful. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll make sure those links to find out more about you are in and around the podcast. Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Cheers.
This has been the Viral by Design podcast with Dave Rotherow. For more viral marketing secrets and to get detailed cliff notes on all episodes, visit viralbydesign.net.